Data retention. Retention framework is used for the regular data cleanup. It consists of filters or rules to retrieve items for cleanup, and cleanup actions that should be performed during the cleanup. Cleanup is done via cron job, so you can schedule it for needed time or call on demand. There are two kinds of retention rules. First is after retention cleanup rule. It cleans items that are old and determined by the certain attribute and date threshold. Or instead of date threshold, date expression as part of the query can be used. Second kind of retention rules is flexible search retention rule. It cleans items that are returned by the certain query. There are few variables that can be used inside the queries. Calc retirement time will be calculated using retention seconds attribute, Java current time, and retention time seconds direct value from the attribute. Retention actions are configured as string parameter in a cron job. Out of the box provides basic remove cleanup action that removes item and related audit records. One of the ways to customize cleanup action is extensible remove cleanup action. Such action is having list of custom hooks. Before the item removal, hooks will be executed. The other option is to create a completely custom action, implementing the retention cleanup action interface. Item can be locked with the item locking service. After retention cleanup rule will skip such items, but flexible search retention rule will throw a model removal exception. To avoid this exception, you will need to modify the search query. There is one more approach for retention. That's maintenance job. This job has next flow. The batch of items is retrieved via flexible query. Next, the batch is processed with the strategy. Once current batch is done, new is retrieved. Error can be just logged or abort the job. The generic maintenance job performable encapsulates create query and process items inside a separate strategy. To work with different items, implement different strategies. Here you can see first part of a strategy implementation. Create fetch query method uses cron job model, which is having threshold and creates a search query. And this is the second part of the strategy implementation. Process method iterates to log and clean up the items. The strategy bean is injected into the job performable, while job itself is created from an impex. The maintenance job has other dynamic job performable implementation. It uses a bean shell script to retrieve and clean up a data. The script search is mandatory attribute and should return the flexible search query object. The cleanup script is optional and is responsible for cleanup action. If it's empty, Model Services remove method will process each item. Note that both properties are limited to 255 characters, so usage is very limited. Here you can see a simple example for dynamic maintenance cleanup job. Let's wrap it up. Retention can be done for old or returned by query items. It can be executed by default, extended with hooks, or completely custom cleanup action. There is also a different option, maintenance job, that requires a strategy class. The strategy will be responsible for item search and processing. That's it for data retention.